All right, going to play some T5 here, trying to get some of the holes for the Pacific Cup. We got Maple Bay and Gokasha here, so we may get some of them. We'll see how it goes. I'll play for like 30, 40 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. Here we go. All right, this is definitely one of them. I'm not really happy about that wind. Let's see what it looks like if I bring out. I know we can get over there with a big ball. Let's see what that looks like for sure. For sure we can get over with a big ball. It's all going to be about the bounces. Yep, I definitely think if we had some tailwind, we could definitely get over there. Faux show. I'm going to end up in the sand. Since I didn't have enough time to really set that up, I wanted to see what that looked like with the Power 5 ball. In the sand. Da 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 da. That's how easy it is to roll over that. This is better if you bring a bigger ball and a really accurate club like a rocker quarterback, where you can get in here and not have to do so much topspin in order to get over that sand. But I think a bigger power ball with a rocker or quarterback, if you're trying to lay up front. I am going to work the shot to get on. I need to go back and look and see what the last tournament this was in. I think this was in the 2018 Winter Major, and I don't have. I think I played it, but I didn't play it. It was during the holiday week, or there was whatever was going on that week. I couldn't. I didn't shoot videos for it that week, but I know that in that tournament, I was definitely going to get on and won. Put just a titch of backspin on. Get right up on it, and at this distance, it's coming backwards. I'm going to open it up. Hopefully I can get a great to the right or a perfect will go in. See if I got that wind direction right. Perfect! In the hole. Eagle! You can't get eagle from the sand. You can't get eagle from the rough. Put some pressure on my opponent. It'll be one of those deals. Sometimes you take shots like this where you have the opportunity to get over. You got a short chip, but you hit it 8 out of 10 times. So then you have to weigh, if you did 100 of those shots and that was the case, then 20% of the time you're epic fail or you're not in the primary spot. But 80% of the time you got a almost guaranteed eagle. You start to weigh the risk versus rewards. What's happening on that other 20%? Are there any of those where you're in the drink? If you're in the drink, then that makes it really bad. But if you're just in the sand or the rough and those 20%, that might be worth it versus laying up front and getting a shot every time. But it is a shot at distance. So, which one would you have a higher percentage of getting them on? If you could get over to the other side 80% of the time, you definitely have pretty close to an 80% chance that you're going to pick up, if you're on the fairway on the other side, that you could pick one up. That'll be one of those holes you'll have to work I'll have to go through and see what it looks like getting to the other side and really work the risk versus reward scenarios in my head to see which way I'm going to go on that. Anytime you can get up there and get on the green and one, you got to explore it on these par fours. Because if you can't work that shot out so that it's consistent, and on the few occasions that you epic fail, you end up not in the drink, it might be worth it. Two, 4, 6, 7, 7, 3. So we're going to be just a little over 3.5 rings. Pretty straightforward. About 2 rings great to the right. I may clip on the first hit. If I make it through that area, then I got a shot of getting over. Just a little bit bigger ball. You can clear that gap. You can roll all the way up to the sand up here, and you've got a nice short chip to get on this hole. You can lay it up here at the top, and you can easily get on with the wood. The deal there is if you're laying up to the top, do not roll off into that rough, because you can't make it with a rough iron from the top of this hill. My opponent, if they play that right and they hit it right, they'll be able to make it over with a Titan, which you can't do with a Marlin. See if they get it up there, hitting that 70 rings to the left. And now they're going to be all right. Nice shot. That's the thing about those, is that if you set them up right, you can hit a good or a great on one side or the other and still be able to make it. All right, Nirvana, max club, right there. There's mid. So we're right about mid club. So we're in the 4 per ring range. Just a titch of backspin. 4 per ring. So there's half, that's 2. I'm going to do 3/4 of a ring. See if I can hit this perfect. Hitting it perfect. See if I got my wind adjustment right. Almost. Not quite enough of a pull. Maybe I was in the 3 per ring range. That would have been a whole ring instead of 3/4. That would have been right on. It's right there. I see a lot of people, when they use their rough irons, they think of max distance on a rough iron, and they don't really think about your normal clubs may have a 20 or 30 yard swing from max to mid to min. But with your rough iron and your sand wedge, you've got 120 or 129 yard swing. So there's a whole bunch of mids. And they'll get on a green like that and they'll make a full adjustment. So that was a 2-1. They'll do a full ring, or they'll do a lot more than what they should. And they end up way off. So people, when that happens, people tend to discount their long iron or their rough irons and their sandwich and think, wow, they're not super accurate. And so we're just going to get up there and get our birdie and go home. But if you work the numbers on your rough and sand wedge, you can get close and in the hole. Hole 8, par 4, go crush up A. I like that hole. We haven't had that hole in a tournament in a long time. There's got to be every bit of a 30% wind adjustment on this hole. Every bit. See how my opponent's doing here. It's 1 mile an hour headwind. So in a worst case scenario, it'd be that club hits about 1.2 per ring at max. So it'll be a little less than 2 rings, and they moved it forward a little less than 2 rings. It's gonna be nice and close. Nice shot. Let's see if we can beat that. That's one. I'm going to do about a 2-ring pull. Puts me about a ring into power. Just a smidgen of power. Hitting it perfect. See if we can get down there and beat that. I think I'm a little too fast. Perfect. It works. Get in the hole. Just rolling it up there. Good game. See if they'll replay us. Get some replay action here. No dice. How much time we've got here? 11 minutes. Cool. So got 1 slot open. I really like playing with 1 slot. I'll open up this chest, scroll through some cards. Try and get 4 golds today. T5. I really think I might be on to something with, like, if you have a secondary account and you're playing lower level stuff, is to work that account for a couple months, and it won't take very long. But if you work an account that's only playing up to T4 so that you can play friendlies with your teammates, I gotta go for this one. You can try and get your lower level stuff maxed out. Trying to see what the this wind isn't going to be really good for me. Trying to get right in that area. Here's 1. There's 5. There's 6, 5. It's probably not going to work with this big wind. And I think the deal is I'm going to have to switch clubs. Almost getting there. I need to come in just a little. I need to think about where my first landing zone is. So I need to come in on this just a bit to hit that zone. That Apocalypse is a lot more curl than what I used to have in the Apocalypse. So I was ending up here when I had a level 2. If you think about it, if you've got a T4 account and you're only playing up to Tour 4, you've only got, you may have the Tour 5 clubs available just because of trophy count. But if you play Tours 1, 2, and 3 and you stay down there and play those tours, you're going to max out those commons very quickly. It doesn't take a lot to max out those lower level commons because there's not a lot of commons down there and you're going to get a lot of common cards. And if you can be a T3, T4 player down there and you're maxing out those common cards, you can participate in the Prism chest. You're going to be able to upgrade your clubs pretty fast. Just thinking if you're down there playing T4 like that and you can just get 1 or 2 of your commons maxed out, there's not, like I said, there's not a lot of commons down there. You're going to be able to start collecting cards for them. And I think once you get your first one maxed out, you're going to start getting that snowball effect where you're going to be able to, because you'll have all of your commons down there probably to like level 8 or 9. And if you can get one maxed out where you can pick up 300 cards for that one, and then don't worry about what the clubs are. Like, don't work on like, hey, I'm really using this common, so that's the one I'm going to work on. It's level 8. Put put your cards into the ones that are the closest to being maxed out. Nice shot. Nice shot. Close. Now you might be able to, before you even go up to Tour 5, have a bunch of your clubs down below maxed out. That means that every day, once you open up a new tour, a new club, because the cards aren't going to be available in the Prism chest unless you have that tour open. So you're not going to have to contend with a bunch of T6 and T7 clubs diluting the pool. You'll be able to just deal with the lower clubs. I'm not sure what the trophy count is to open up T5, but if you keep it so that you don't have T5 open, you work up to T4 and you just stay in T4 and you work off that tour to get your club cards, and T5's not open, then you just stay right there and keep working those clubs down there. And as soon as you get that first common maxed out, you're going to be, your cards are going to go up quick. I don't remember this hole. I think I was hitting during the tournament right down here with a backspin club. So I didn't like doing this bounce over roll down the hill, and where the cup is at down there at the bottom, there's a serious hill going down to it. You engage that hill and you can end up, it wants to swirl you off the back and you end up in the rough. See, that looks like they got a good one. Got a good. Nice. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. Let's see what my options are here. I got a Guardian, so I can do that. See what that looks like. I have no idea. I can't even remember this hole. That's as close as I can get. So there's 3-6, and I'm going to add on about 20%. I'm going to add on a little. Isn't it perfect? Needed to be back just a little bit, or I needed to put right-hand side spin on it instead of the left. And the right-hand side spin would suck it up the hill and then drop it straight down instead of swirling it around like that. Good game. Let's hit the rematch. Come on. Come on. Nobody wants to rematch. Come on. I'm going to start working. I'm going to start playing. I need to actually start playing more. I think I've shot some videos with my 77 account. I may switch over and start practicing with my 99 account, just to start working on those cards, because I really do think that I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around how that works. But I think that if you are down there, that you could literally have an account that's only playing Tour 3 and Tour 4. And you're being able to participate in the Prism chest. This is going to be an absolutely suck hole without a big ball, because you really want to hit right here. I'm not interested with this ball of trying to make it around that curve. Let's see if that works. It's Apocalypse. It's 1.6 per ring, so it's about ring and 3/4. Put some curl on it to bring it back. Try and see if I can clear that fairway over there. It may clip it and then roll up. If you're in that sand down there, you can, if you have a Spitfire, you could get on. I got on yesterday with a Spitfire down in that sand. But that is definitely not my preferred way to come at this hole. I would normally bring a ball big enough so that I could do a rough bump over on the other side and try and go right at it. I don't like these kind of hill faces. If you're on this side, the sand side, it's going to carry farther. And so there's not really a flat spot up at the top. There's not a landing up there. It's just a mound. And so if you hit on that flat spot, it'll react the way you want it to. But if you hit on the downhill side towards the sand, it makes the ball run flat like that. And instead of going up in the air and you gaining some distance, it'll go flat and it'll dig you in. With the Guardian, I'm right at my red line. So this is one of those where you bite the bullet. And I'm going to leave the wind in and let the wind push me back a little. I got plenty of room here on my club. I'm at min club, so I should be fine. The wind's going to push me back. See if I can extrapolate that correctly. Hit it great to the right. Great to the right. Da 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 da. Perfect would have been close. Close. This is why I like, if you're in one-on-one, I really am a big fan of bringing backspin clubs when you can. So bringing something that's got some backspin in it, bringing out a Guardian. In one-on-one, some tours are going to be a little different because of the courses, but I have found that if you play in one-on-one with a Guardian and a Saturn, the Saturn is an awesome utility club. It's not the most accurate in the bag, but it has everything. It at 2.0, 1.9 per ring, it's not bad. It's got great, power as far as a long iron. It's right there. It's not a Goliath, but it's there with the rest of them. As far as the normal, your Grizzly or your Backbone, it's right there in that range. Got tons of curl, tons of backspin, tons of topspin, good ball guide. It's a great utility club. There's a lot of stuff that you can get done with it. Whereas if you bring one of the other clubs, you're in most situations those clubs will work, but you're going to find yourself in situations where it's like, man, that club does not work at all. And you won't have that problem with a Saturn. It'll work in every situation. It's just not quite as accurate as those. And coming in with a wood that has backspin, that sometimes you may struggle a little bit out on the course with that because that wood doesn't have a lot of topspin. But what you'll find is that it will help you out in shootouts. Faux show. Maple Bay, hole 5, par 5. I don't think this is one of the ones that's in the tournament coming up. It is not. And I know if you're out here on the end, it's a hump. If you're out there on the end with a Marlin, it's a shot. So a normal extra mile is going to have somewhere in that, like a level 8 is going to have somewhere about that topspin in it. 5-4, 2, 4, 5, 3. That's about 2.5 rings. It's 2.1 per ring. Hitting it perfect. So we got our topspin right and don't roll off the end. And I'm going to have a super hard time doing this shot because I've got a Guardian. If I had a Sniper, this would be a much easier shot because it's got topspin on it, but I still think I can get it up there with my Guardian. My Guardian's got a little bit more raw distance, so we'll see. I want to see if they get caught up in the rough down here, if they can still get on. Like if this is I know if you get, that'll be good. I know if you're in the tip of that, you'll probably be able to bounce over the islands, be able to bounce off of this one to get up there. I'm just curious to see if from there they can get up there. I do have a sniper. So we're in this range right here. Perfect. Perfecto. The wind's going to blow me this direction, 6 miles per hour. So I want to be, there's 5. I want to be out here in this range and let the wind move me back. So the wind's going to move me back over here. So now what I'm looking for is distance to the cup. I think I can get that done with just a titch of backspin. And I think hitting that one ring grate to the right might have been just a little too much to the right. Just trying to let the wind give me some forward momentum. Let my opponent get back in it. That's what I thought. If you're in the rough over there, they've got a Nirvana 4. So distance-wise, you're still there. But you need to be a little bit farther forward or have a bigger ball so that you can engage that island. So if you ever get this in a tournament, or if you're a one-on-one play and you're out there, that's you have to make it all the way over. Otherwise, you're not going to be in the right spot. Or you just lay it up there in the front so you can bring a wood. So both of us are in the rough. I'm in the sand. The things about a Spitfire is it's got tons of tops, man. So you can use it like a rapier. From this distance, be just a bit off the cup. That may have opened up a perfect and a grate to the right. And not a 3-ring grate to the right, but just a grate to the right. That was a 3-ring grate to the right. I like going down to these tours and figuring out how to do it with a Marlin and seeing what the angles are like on which side's better than the other. Because a lot of times you'll find that in one-on-one play, you may go to the side that you don't go to in a tournament. Because in a tournament, why would you go to that other side when you can bring out a bigger ball and you can be on and, on and two? But if you come out there with a lower level ball, sometimes the side that we totally discount in tournaments, sometimes that side is the side in one-on-one play if you're bringing out a lower level ball. So a lot of times when I watch people in one-on-one, if they're going, sometimes the only way to go is the A side. But if they're going to the A side, I'll go to the B side just so that I can see what it looks like and work that side to see if there's a way to get it up there. That way, if you get a wind that's super unfavorable on the A side, you can fall back and do the B side because you practice that shot and hey, I can get out there and I can get it done. There are some holes that there really is only one way to go. There is another side, but you don't want to take that side, not unless you've got some monster ball. And I can think of several holes that are like optical illusions. Like you think, where's my red line? There's max. There's minimum. So we're up here towards max. It's 1 per ring. It's a 2-ring pool, and we're at a little downhill here, so I'm going to add on 20%. That's going to be 4. I'm going to do a 2.4 ring pool. Hit it 1 ring grate to the right. One ring grate to the right. That's a serious hole-in-one hole. There's definitely a wind adjustment. You can tell when there's wind adjustments on holes. When you go to zoom in on if you do the wind ring method, it'll give you clues. So like people who don't do the wind ring method may or may not pick up on it other than what they can visually see. But if you're doing the wind ring method and you go to zoom in on your ring set and you can't get down on it, then you're downhill. And that means you need to do some type of wind adjustment. So if you're not, like if we're playing in tournaments, we're going to try and dial that in. So you're like, hey, we do a 30% wind adjustment there, or we do a 40% wind adjustment. But if you're not sure, but you know you're downhill, like put a number on it. It's 30% or 20%. Some kind of a starting number, but adding wind on it. You go to play and you can zoom down on your ring set to the point where you can see the grass underneath of the grass, then you're probably shooting uphill and you could take some wind off. All right, we'll do a bonus hole here. Bonus hole. See if we can get a gold chest going there. I'll open up one just to empty a slot. We'll play one. Just one. All right, let's get a good one. Let's get one of the ones that's in the tournament. Other than the freaking par 4 that I've got. That one island par 4, Gokasha Bay. Yeah, this is in the tournament. There's an awesome rough bump on this. And I am glad I got this hole because I'm going to try the max overpower hook shot and see what I can do with it, because the regular shot's pretty easy here. I'm going to bring a Titan just because I want to see what it looks like with that extra side spin. So there's 1, there's 2, it's 10. So we're out here somewhere. That tree right there, this tree right here, I'm going right towards the edge of that tree. I'm going to take 5 wind out. See what kind of hook there is out there. Okay, that was too far out by about probably a good 3 rings. So I started at that tree with my ball guide going right at it. So the next time I get here, I was out in this area here. So the next time I get there, I'll pull it in 3 rings towards the cup. So I'll put the transition between my blue ring and my clear ring on that tree and then try that shot again and keep working it in. This is like artillery. So the first shot, my company commander just looked at me and started yelling at me like, are you shooting towards the enemy or are we just going to lay up shells out in the field? I don't like going the way that my opponent went because, and they should be able to get on from there. I don't like going the way my opponent went because you're putting the sand and a bunch of stuff into play that you don't really need to put into play. There's a great rough bump here. So it's going to push me forward 4-4. So there's 4-4. It'll push me forward 4-4. So if I just leave the wind in, it's going to push me up into this range right here. So I'm going to leave the wind in and see if I can do a rough bump for an Albie. Hitting it perfect. Let's see if I got my adjustments right. Clip the rough. Close. Every time I hit this hole, I used to know how to do that shot. But it's been so long since I've done it, I can't remember. And you can get out here on this fairway pad right here so that you're right on the other side of the green, and you can actually engage this with a Hornet and go straight at it. You don't have to do the rough bump. You can do a nice little run up to it from pretty short distance. And it's like mid-club, so I mean, you're like way up there. Just so that I can explore that look. The rough bump that you have on this hole is really, really good. I mean, you have a serious look at it. But I'm going to try and explore what it takes to get over there, just to having some fun. Come on. Hitting it perfect. See if I got that right. It's going down the hill, so it's going to run off to the, it's going to want to try and miss the cup on this side when it's going down that hill. So when you're coming down a hill like that, you want to set up a little bit on the other side of the flag, because as it comes down the hill and it starts to slow down, it'll drift more because of the slope. Some of the holes that are out there, they have that math in them, and you'll go, wait a second, I can't miss that. There was no wind out there. And then you missed the cup. That's because on that hole, they got this is an old hole, so they may or may not have gone back and redid the green geometry. But on the newer holes that have slope like that, you can get caught up where there is no wind effect, but you're actually getting caught up in the slope. What really sucks is when you're at that right distance where wind is playing a factor, but you're still hitting the hole where the slope is a factor, and then you have to account for both. Get another shot at hole-in-one on this hole. 3-8. It's 1.0 per ring, and I'm going to do a 20% overpull, so that's 3, 6, 7, 6. That would be 4, 5. So there's 4, 5. Hitting it great to the left. That's great to the left. That's funny. Hit the last one great to the right and was just in the same spot on the other side. And hit the one before that perfect, and it was right in the cup. So I'm on this hole, I'm thinking the 20% is probably about right. I usually play that artillery thing with like the clock game. And it's the same thing on these shots right here when you're adding on wind. I'll take big swings at it. So like if you're going to add on wind and you're like, man, that seems like it's downhill, then pick a number, 20%, 40%. 20% is a good place to start. That'll get you, if it really was a 30% or if it really was a 10, you're going to be right there on either side. That'll get you really close. You hit a couple perfects and it's like, wow, I'm not doing quite enough. But if I look at it and I go, wow, I'm not doing enough, then I'll jump up to 40. Because the deal there is that 40 is probably going to be overkill. But then I know that, hey, I'm somewhere between 20 and 40. And then you can really start working the clock game instead of having an open-ended top. All right. That was just a little bit of play. I think we got a couple of the holes that are going to be in the tournament. All right. 38 minutes. Thanks for watching.